Welcome back to episode 8 of Everyone Loves Charlie. I'm super excited for today's episode. I got one of my best mates, Derek, in. He's all the way over from Canada. Derek, introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Derek Kessler. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm a full-time content creator and I'd say probably one of Charlie's closest friends now since
We've been through quite a lot together.
Yeah, we've been through a lot in a short amount of time. It's only been a couple of years, but yeah.
We went through, well, they always say you bond through traumatic experiences. And me and Derek met on a TV show for NBC. We went on a reality dating show. I can't remember actually the first time that we met. Basically, we went on this dating show, which is, the premise of it was like the Bachelorette meets like Bridgerton.
Yeah.
And we had to dress up in like all the Bridgerton gear. But yeah, I can't remember the first time that we met was...
it sounds weird, but the first time we met, we were probably blindfolded.
Oh yeah, we were, yeah.
Because the whole time we weren't allowed to see the set and everything, right? They wanted our initial like reaction to the castle and everything that was going on. So they basically walked us around in all of our get-ups, like blindfolded. And I remember hearing other people's voices. And I'm like, that sounds British. That's American. So yeah, I think the first time we met was probably
like a blindfolded thing, yeah.
Yeah, because we weren't together for any of the group things. It was pretty crazy because we went out there and we did like horseback riding and learned how to
give like
handwrite.
context. Basically, they had, in order to film the show, they didn't want us to know the location and they didn't want us to know like the other contestants. And basically, we were all fighting for like this one girl, and they didn't want us to know who like our competition was, so to speak. So what we did is they put us on these minibuses, like these 4-seater minibuses. And like put these blindfolds on us and were like taking us to training. We used to do like horse riding and dancing,
ballroom dancing.
Yeah, ballroom dancing. Yeah, we had to do ballroom dancing. But they kept me separate from like Derek and the boys because Derek was with a lot of the American guys. So it was like 16 of us.
Yeah, we were in groups of 5 or so.
Yeah,
something
and
like
I
that.
was with like 3 other British boys. One of them was Bailey, who's actually been on this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, and the other 2 Brits, because then they wouldn't let us mix. And I think that's the first time when I heard the accent, because we got on the bus and Dan Hunter, I remember Dan Hunter literally looked at me and went, he was like, fuck, there's a British accent. Like,
oh no.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Yeah, that's how we met. And then after that, we'd gone quite well. We shared like a house, didn't we? It was like a...
Well, we were told we were going to live in a castle. I mean, that's the reason I came all the way down from Canada. I'm like, I'm going to live in a castle. It's going to be like this crazy experience. And
I mean, they lied to us
frolicking around in the countryside and all this stuff. And they're like, the shed, like the shack over here is where you live. And it just has a microwave.
They were like, it's the country cottage. And we got to the country cottage and I was like, who the fuck would live here? They had like cling film on the floors because they didn't want us to touch their carpets. The bedrooms were like a hostel. It was like 3 or 4 single beds in a room.
Single spring beds from the 1800s or so.
It definitely wasn't a castle. Yeah. And also the actual location. So it was filmed in Castle Howard, which I think, I don't know why it's called Castle Howard, because it's not castle. It's like one of those big, like, it's huge, but it's like one of those townhomes. It's not like not a townhome, like a country estate rather than a castle. Because when I think of castle, I think of like in Edinburgh. You know?
Yes,
like
yes.
Big stone,
massive
castle. That's a castle.
A moat around it.
Yeah,
big brick wall. All these things. Yeah.
Off of your head. Yeah, that's the vibe I think of.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely wasn't that. But this isn't like the first TV show. So Derek's quite seasoned in the old reality department, aren't you?
Fairly seasoned. Yeah, I've done. Actually, I've done 3 shows. One, I think I was just too boring on it, and it was very early on in my career. There was this TV show that...
I don't think I know about this.
Actually, I don't know if the TV show started in the UK. It was a different country, but it was called First Dates.
First Dates? Yeah, it did start here.
Yes, it started in the UK.
Yeah, with like Fred, and he's like...
So they had this TV show called First Dates Canada. So, and they did the Canadian version. And I worked at this restaurant. It was like my first job when I moved to Vancouver called Earl's. And at the time, we had the top floor was a banquet area, and they were filming all of the shows for it in the banquet hall on the top. And then I had a few friends that were kind of like, I was new in town, just from Alberta, never really done any TV or anything like that. But I had a friend that's like, yeah, you kind of got that look. You should give it a try. So that was the first one I ever did, and I remember I was so nervous, and there was just cameras all over the place, and I go in, and it's like, they're basically filming a first date.
Yeah.
And how nervous
are you
normally on a first date?
Yeah.
Anyways, And now it's like, going to meet this, and it's a blind date, right?
Yeah.
So of course you don't know like if it's going to be your type or anything, and And it was funny because I got there, I'm like, she wasn't really my type off the beginning, and I'm trying to like think of the questions to ask her, and you know, normally I feel like I'm pretty easygoing and come up with some jokes and funny, but on the spot you're just like, what do I say?
It's the first date, but then you've also got everybody watching you and all the film camera like
100%. Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, and so I remember it ending. I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna use that because it was a good date, but there was just nothing. There was no funny or different. Like I saw some of the episodes that filmed, and one of the dudes had like taken his pants down, or they had all these kinds of stories of people that had something kind of crazy go on or happen in the date. It's either it's really.
Also, they don't show every day.
No, because I think mine was just too vanilla, to be honest. It was just like a normal, fun date. It wasn't too.
I thought they filmed all of them.
No, they didn't show all of them, but I remember there was like a couple flashes of like I was in because they were showing other dates, and I remember seeing me and this girl like in the background.
Eating your chip.
Yeah. So that was actually like my very first taste of TV, and I think that was 2016 or 2017, and then and then in 2018, I think it was 2 years later, is when I did Big Brother Canada.
Yeah, Derek, actually, you did quite well in Big Brother Canada as well, didn't you? You didn't just go. Like,
I did. Yeah, came third place. I think I should have won. I mean, we talk about how producers can screw you over all the time.
Did you get screwed over?
Yes, I think I should have won.
Did you know when you went into that, what was your character in that? Was you like I'm going to be everybody's friend, or was you like, I'm going to stir the pot?
The nice guy, for sure. I mean, I'm a Gemini, is my zodiac sign, which a lot of people say to stay away from when it comes to dating, because the main quality, I guess you call it, of a Gemini is we have split personality. And I feel like
narcissism.
Yeah, that too. But I also feel like that's why I have a lot of different friend groups, and I don't know if it's the same for you, where I'm like, I have some friends that I'm like, I don't think they would get along with these other friends. Yeah, but I can find a way to like groups, get along with everyone. And it was kind of funny on the show. I was in a showmance with this girl named Kayla, and she was like very hard hitting and played the game hard, and I was kind of like the nicer one. They called me like the nice dad. They're like, Kayla's, you get in trouble and you go and talk to Derek. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, we're still in an alliance. Like, everything's good. Yeah. They'd leave all worried after talking to her, and then so I kind of played that, and I got casted as like the nice guy. As you know, you never really know what you kind of sign your life away in a sense. They can kind of portray you however they want.
Exactly. There's a mold that they already have in mind that you're going to fit. Like this. For people that listen that think that reality TV is real, they need a reality check. Like
totally.
Like on our show, we were told what to say, told how to act. Like there's always a producer in your ear being like, right, let's say that again, but let's say that with like this, or you know, with ours, like the show that I was on Derek with, it was like a dating premise, and like when you was on a date, they'd be like, you're going to talk about this on the date, you're going to talk about this topic, and this is how you're going to act on the date. So it's like,
I didn't make it far enough to get a date on that show, so I didn't know that much was also set up. I will say though, like my experience on the courtship was a lot different than Big Brother, because I found that too. It felt like everything was very structured, and they had a narrative that they wanted to kind of run with.
I would love to see something like Big Brother, because I do think you get to relax more, because it's like fixed isn't it? You just get to just be yourself.
It was a lot more. It was very authentic, because there's also 24-hour live feeds, and there's so many people that watch the show live feeds, and they take notes and everything, and there's podcasts all about it, so they would know. It's funny because afterwards you go on Twitter and people would talk, and they're like, "Wow, you know, the episode that aired isn't at all how it happened in real time," because people would watch and take notes and all that kind of stuff. It's 24 hours. Like they watch you sleep,
fucking life.
They watch you eat, they watch you do everything. Yeah, man. I even remember, so because there's cameras in the bathroom, like not in the toilet itself, but people can watch you shower. But there's like a big thing that blocks
like a
out
translucent thing.
And you know, I'm a pretty horny guy. So there's a few times I'm like, okay. I remember I went like the first 3 weeks without jerking off. I'm like, I need to like, but I'm standing I'm like, I got way too much testosterone built up. Like I need to, I need to get this out. Fuck, I'm so stressed on this show. So I remember being in the shower, all they can see is like from your knees down and like your neck up. And I'm standing there like trying not to like show that my shoulder's moving. And I'm just like not moving at all. It's so funny. And then I get off the show and I see these like screen grabs on Twitter, and it's just shows me in the shower like looking like deadpan, and people are like, so what were you thinking about in the shower? I'm like, oh no, they definitely knew I was jerking off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why would you not just go in like the cubicle in the toilet?
Well, because you're only allowed to be in the toilet for like not longer than kind of 5 minutes. So they had like an emergency GoPro camera in the toilet because they didn't want people, especially like in showmance or hookups or whatever. They're like, oh, they don't want people to go in the bathroom, so there's no camera and they can just like go do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
So they were basically like, if we feel like you're in the bathroom for too long, we're gonna turn the camera on and check in on you. So it was kind of like it was your only real safe space, but at the same time, it's safe. Like, yeah, if you took longer than a 5-minute shit, they might be like, hey, so what's
that would
going
be me
on?
though. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes in the morning, you just want to you just woke up, you just kind of I just want to just chill for a bit. I don't want to.
Right.
5 minutes is not a long time. No.
Yeah. No.
And then,
so
what was it like coming out that? Because obviously that's quite a big show in Canada, isn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I felt like I was okay when I came out of the show, but you really don't know what's going on in the world. They turn off, like, you have no contact to anyone in the outside world. You don't see newspapers, or there's no books, there's no radio, TV, nothing like that at all. I remember one time too, like the only outside area we have like this hot tub area, and there was maybe like a 6 by 6 meter hole. So it's like about the size of a hot tub.
So
it's
like
how much open space you had. Yeah, that was called the backyard. So you'd go back there, and that's the hot tub, and spend time back there. And there was this one time, I think we were like 6 weeks into filming, and you get into a routine, right? You grab your morning. I'd get my morning coffee, go in the backyard, sit by the hot tub, have my coffee, whatever. And we went out there one time, and there was the wind had blown in like a movie theater ticket and like some random like newspaper clippings and stuff. And we're like, it was like gold. Like, oh my God, like this is the date. This is like a movie that just came out. And we're trying to like figure out what's going on in the real world. And immediately they're like, put that down, go back inside the house. Like,
really?
Yeah. And they're like, don't read anything like back in. They like locked us back in the house, and we couldn't
cleared up.
Yeah. Right away. But because there was a way for us to like, I mean, you get so bored in there, you're trying to track everything, right? You're figuring out like, we figured out how long we were awake basically because the mic packs that we wore. You don't
get the time or anything like that.
We don't get the time because, man, they had like the time on the microwave and the stove and stuff. They had all the time on there, but the producers would come in and change the times. Like they fucked with you big time for sure. So
God, that would mess with your head so much.
Totally, yeah, and especially you didn't know how long some of the competitions ran and that kind of thing. So later on in the show, it got really difficult. But yeah, so our mic packs that we wore, you know, the same ones we had. And kind of you wear it around your neck.
Yeah.
So they have a battery in it, and you had to change the battery. We saw by looking at the clock, because it was like 2 or 3 times a day, they'd be like battery change, and someone would go collect all the mics.
Yeah.
And then we'd put them in a room. The producer would come change all the batteries, give them back. And so we timed it, and we're like, oh, we're getting a battery change. I think it was every 6 hours. And so we realized we're doing 3 a day. We're like, they're filming us, like they're keeping us awake 18 hours a day, basically.
So they want you tired. They want you broken because they're like drama.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, but that was the one thing I did like about the show is it brought you back to like a childlike state of mind, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting there like with paper clips or whatever you could find.
Existing.
Like, we have like pasta noodles from the kitchen, and you're like playing games with them and like trying to create art or do whatever, finding ways to like study and all that kind of stuff for the show. So it was just like, it's actually one thing now that I think our generation has trouble with is being bored. Because we have so many distractions, and it's funny, like being bored is where some of your best ideas come from.
Yeah,
when you're just sitting there, and it's like,
mine's like in bed when I'm like fucking ADHD brain. I'm like awake at 2 a.m.
Exactly, and you just have like this thought where it's in the shower, you're in the bathroom, or whatever.
Yeah.
But immediately, as soon as you have like a sad emotion or anything that comes up, and you're like, distract myself with TikTok or Instagram or whatever. So I feel like
in there you had to feel it.
In there, you just, all you had time to do was think and have conversations and do all that. So it was a good challenge that way too, to be like, okay. And it was funny because I was a very C student in high school, college, all that kind of stuff. Didn't really love it, and I didn't excel too much at it, but I've always been like, fuck, like I have the worst memory. Yeah. You know, especially when I'm meeting someone like, nice to meet you. And then 2 seconds later, I'm like,
I forget people's names all the time.
So bad.
And the amount of times I go up to people and go, nice to meet you, and then we've already met. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, damn it. But so in Big Brother, there's 3 different types of competition. There's like endurance. So there was one where we literally just stood there and hold a button on the roof. Whoever does it the longest. Yeah. And it went for hours. At the beginning, they're like, you can switch hands. They're like, okay, every time we hit the buzzer, like, you're allowed to switch your hand. And then eventually they're like, okay, you can only do one hand. I think the competition went for like 4 hours to like win. Yeah. So there's endurance, which are those ones. And then
that I would have just gone.
Yeah.
Give
Well,
up.
then they'll have like that when they had prizes to entice you.
Okay.
They had buzzers at the far end, and they're like, there's a you can call home. You can talk to your mom. If
Oh.
you yeah.
Mom!
Or there was like one that was
People are
like,
fucking holding the button.
if you drop out, you get $1,000. So there's a few good prizes, and
Yeah.
then people would have to race for them to try and get them.
Oh
Yeah,
like,
so
my
stuff
my
like that.
competitive streak inside me, I would have to like.
Oh,
I'd
I
have to
know.
stand there for ages. I'm so competitive.
For some of that stuff. So the other one would be there's endurance, there's memory, and then the other one would be like a physical one.
Okay.
And so I was just like, yeah, like the memory ones, I have no shot. And I think I won 2 or 3 of the memory competitions. But it was funny because I had no distractions, right? And a lot of the memory stuff was based off of what had happened in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh, on day 3 you did this and this and this, and so you actually had time to sit around and study.
I'd be so sure.
Never loved studying. I was
Mm.
always terrible for studying.
Same.
But I'm like, I have nothing to do. So I was actually playing pool, and all the pool balls have numbers.
Mm.
So I'd like drain the 6th ball. I'm like, hey, what happened on day 6, on day 16? And I would actually just like study through playing
Yeah.
pool that way. And I ended up being like really good in these memory competitions. I was like, oh shit, like I proved to myself if I actually put the
Apply
time into
yourself.
like
Yeah.
studying, I'm like, okay, I could do this. Yeah.
I think it's down to do with like being interested because I'm the same. Like I can't retain information that I'm not interested in. But like random
Exactly.
facts,
Yeah.
like I will absorb random shit. But when it comes to stuff that I'm not interested in, like schoolwork, I was just not the one to retain information.
Yeah, it's tough. So I'm trying to. Sorry, sometimes I'll go off into left field after a question. It just leads
Oh,
into
no,
the
it's
next
fine.
thing.
That's
So
just
I
basically
can't
what it's
remember
all
what the
about.
original question was.
Yeah, no.
But
just
it
like-
was so after coming out of the house. Yeah, I wasn't too bad. I felt like I'm pretty good at like dealing with my emotions, and I
Yeah.
felt pretty level-headed the whole time. And it was new.
Because you went from just
coming
kind of being
out.
a bit of a normal person to then suddenly being a bit of a celebrity, didn't you?
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah, and there's like you have all kinds of your Twitter, your social media's blown up. You have all these DMs, people, and I grew up in a small town, and I moved away to Vancouver, and I've been in there for years. But then also, you know, it's pretty because they do a lot of the casting for Big Brother Canada is out of Ontario because it's just the biggest population.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting people around Toronto and that whole area. And there's a decent amount from like BC,
Mm-hmm.
but not only to like get cast on the show, but be from a small town
Yeah,
that's
so
like
you're
not a
actually
big major
from-
area.
You're from Edmonton in Alberta.
It's actually it's a little French town called Beaumont, Alberta.
Bonjour.
Yeah, Beaumont.
Beaumont.
Yeah, all our stop signs have stop and arrête,
And-
ARRET or
Stop
whatever.
and, stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, it was cool because I was living in Vancouver, but when I got cast on the show, I was like, I want to make sure it says that I'm from Beaumont.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of support from like the small towns
The
and all
little
that
town,
in
yeah.
and around Alberta. So it was pretty
you
cool.
in Beaumont when you got cast?
No, I was in Vancouver.
So you left. So you basically left hometown. You're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Vancouver.
Yeah,
You
2015.
just like, need to get to a bigger city.
Yeah, I worked in. Actually, we just had this conversation. Kind of touched on it on the way over here on the bus, where I was like, "Yeah, I'm not in like the trades, the typical male jobs. I'm like, it's not for me."
Yeah, manual labor, not for me.
But yeah, in Alberta, it's all the oil industry, and
Yeah.
you're kind of, which I don't know if you've heard this before, but they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So like, if you want to be a millionaire, hang out with millionaires.
You become what you surround yourself with. Yeah.
100%, yeah. And just a lot of my friends and everything I was surrounded by with was trades and going up north and partying and kind of all that stuff that I was doing at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I knew and I told myself I need a new environment. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was like, I want to go to a new city. And luckily I had one friend that was he was an electrician up north. I was a heavy equipment operator, and we're both like, we fucking hate this. And we went to Vancouver to visit a friend there.
Yeah.
And immediately, like, this city is so cool. Like, we want to start a business or do something different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's kind of funny thinking back, like, because I was making pretty good money then. And my parents were like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, oh, I'm quitting this stable, high paying job to go serve.
Yeah. To go to
Yeah, at a
in
more expensive
Vancouver,
city, like with higher taxes and all
Yeah.
this shit. But I was just like, I need to change and do something different. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was in the trades, and it was just like call it my quarter life crisis, because I was 25 when I moved out there. And
Yeah.
and then it was just like discovering what I wanted to do, and we had always wanted to start a clothing company or start some kind of company. So a lot of people don't know, I guess, my original reason for applying for Big Brother is because we had started our VNCBR clothing company, and I was like, if I get on the show, like, we can get our company
yeah.
like big exposure
Yeah.
because we own it, so I would be allowed to wear it. And funny, like, years later, the business didn't work out, but I ended up getting on the show, and I did wear the hat. And we weren't really running the business anymore. But yeah, my first HOH I won in the house. They like give you a little basket, like stuff from home and all that. And I got my hat. And it was kind of like a surreal thing to sit there and be like, yeah, I did it. Like I got on the show and I got our clothing brand on the show.
You set a goal and you got it.
Yeah. And then, I mean, fast forward, I got into all the content creation stuff after the fact.
Yeah.
But the original was just trying things to get outside my comfort zone and that kind of whole thing. So
you left there, then you then become like, when did you start getting into content creation? How was you like, right? Because I think so many people out there do want to get into content creating and have no idea.
Yeah.
So like, how did you start yours? You didn't go straight into it full time, did you? I think people just assume that you go into these kind of things full time, and then it wasn't like that, was it?
It's not, and it's a lot more work than you see. Everyone kind of just sees a photo and what goes into it, but and that's not what goes into it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was actually a close friend of mine named Lindsay, and this was before I did Big Brother. This was probably 2017. We were serving together at Earl's, and she was like, blogging was big back then, and I kind of like writing, and she's like, you should get into like Instagram. And this is when Instagram was good. Like you post it, it's chronological, all your followers see it. And she was like growing and doing all this stuff on Instagram, and she did fashion and worked at this suit shop and stuff. And she's like, Derek, you should get into like, I know you like fashion and all this kind of stuff. But also I was still very small town in Alberta, and I didn't really talk about it, like put myself out there too much at that point in time. And I was like, I don't know if I want to put myself out there and do that kind of thing. But she's like, oh, you should get into it. And so I slowly started doing a little bit of Instagram and doing that kind of thing. And there was just not a lot of competition, not a lot of guys that did it. And just in Canada and in my city, it just wasn't very big yet. So I kind of started doing like photo shoots and a little stuff here and there, tried to get into some like modeling, got an acting agent. And then the whole Big Brother thing happened. And then after Big Brother is when like I got all these followers, and it kind of was a snowball effect because my hairdresser, one of his clients, she had started a social media agency, I think a few years before that, because YouTube and stuff has been around for longer. So I think social media agencies have been around, but it's more for like big YouTube talent and that kind of thing. And I didn't even know at the time. I'm like, wow, there's agencies that it's the same as a sports star or an actor or anything. Like they all have models. They have these agents. I'm like, social media people have agents? This is crazy. Yeah. So I come off the show and I sign with this agency, and then all of a sudden I'm getting all these requests in my inbox and getting multi-$1,000 deals. I'm like, wow, there's like some serious money in this. And I was with the agency for years. Now I'm on my own, but that was kind of what got me into it. Was I came off the show, and then through a friend of a friend, I got signed on with this agency, and that kind of just showed me the potential in this. And then, like I said, with there not being a lot of competition, I was just like, this is crazy, like the amount of money that you can make in it. And so I was still, but again, I wasn't full-time yet. Like I was also serving and doing the kind of influencing content for years. I was still serving at a restaurant for like 3 or 4 years until I finally went on my own. Yeah, because I would have started when I was like 26, and I think it wasn't until I was 30 when I was like, I'm full-time content. That's it. That's all I do. So it took some time to get there. And the industry has also grown a lot since then.
The industry's changing so much, like every couple of months. It's like,
well, especially with TikTok, there's all these rising stars and people that kind of seem to come out of nowhere, and then you have these massive audiences, and we got the podcast and stuff going. So there's just so many more ways now to like build your own personal brand, which is so cool. You just never had these ways of even like your favorite celebrities and stuff. Yeah. You never know. Like you can just about DM just about anyone now, and you never know who sees your stuff. There's been times where I've like sent a DM and I'm like, oh, they saw it. Like that's crazy. Yeah.
Well, like sometimes you get, I've had it before where I put like a reel up or something, and someone will like it, and then you're like, fuck, and you go and see who it is, and you're like, shit, they're actually really famous.
You're like, what? They liked it? Yeah. That's crazy. You like comment back, and
like the comment section is by far the best place on social media.
Oh my god, I spend out too much time.
Whenever I see a video, I run to the comments. I'm like, I need to see.
Depends on the video too.
I'm like, fuck, I gotta see what people are saying about this. Yeah. God, I love that. That's my favorite bit of social media by far. Yeah. But it is ruthless as well. I think a lot of people don't, as well, they underestimate like how much you have to put yourself out there for social media as well. Because people think it's easy, but you get a lot of, naturally, you're always going to get haters. Right. But on social media, you get a lot of that. Do you get much of that or not?
I don't get a ton of it. I mean, I get a fair share of it. But I don't know. I think it all comes down to being confident in yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
I think also it's nice if kind of fuels it, like it fuels me to want to do more is what I'm trying to say. The word is like turn your adversities into your advantage.
100%.
You know, a lot of people are like, if you're trying to find motivation to go to the gym or change your life or whatever, like think of an ex-girlfriend that screwed you over. Think of something that really like fires you up, that kind of stuff. So when I see any stuff when it's like hater wise, I just like, all it makes me want to do is like be better. I don't really care, you know?
I love looking at stuff like that. I had lost my voice now. Fuck. I had a comment on my thing the other day that was like, try getting a personality that's not just a pretty face. And I read it and I was like, all I'm reading is that I have a pretty face. I'm so toxic.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Like, try getting a personality that's not just a pretty face, stuff like that. And I was like, he thinks I've got a pretty face?
Dude, it's like Dumb and Dumber when she's that one scene, she's like, if I was the last girl on, or no, she's like, more like, what's your chances of going on a date with me? And she's like, more like 1 in a million. And he's like, so you're saying there's a chance? You know, like, that toxic, like, positive mindset.
You have to just have that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's it's a part of any business, really, if you're in entertainment at all. And I just think the bigger your platform, the bigger the platform, the more people are going to try and pull you down, because a lot of it just comes from envy or jealousy or anything like that. Not that I'm saying there's all these people that are jealous of what I'm doing, but I think there's a lot of people that see what you do and they would like to do it, but maybe they don't have the guts to do it, and so they kind of sit back and
there's
anything they can find to critique you.
The world, for sure, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Because even I think it's natural as a human to want more. You know,
we naturally compare ourselves all the time.
You naturally compare yourselves, and even just like the want for change. You know, you can save all your money up and you get a really nice car and you buy a Ferrari, and you're like, but I'd still love to take that Lamborghini for a ride. You know, it's just that kind of human.
Well, it's like the gym as well, isn't it? You get to some point in the gym and you're like, oh, I feel good, and you're like, no, now I want to look like that, and now it's always like that.
Yeah, there's always that like.
You're never actually satisfied. That's why it's important to try and learn to be. I mean, I'm saying this as if I do this myself. I definitely fucking don't.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you have to learn to be kind of happy with where you are. That's like, that's what's going to make you happy. If you're constantly trying to achieve something, it's great to have goals, but if you're constantly always trying to achieve, you're never satisfied with what you're achieving. It's quite unhealthy.
No, exactly. And that's why I try and focus more on like the process than the result, because we're all so focused on the result and like getting the abs or getting that amount of money in your bank or the followers or the certain kind of thing that you're looking for. And then it's funny, as I've matured and I'm like settling down, I think to like the times where I was just like in the weeds, I'm broke, we're working on a business, and you're splitting a 2-bedroom apartment and all this stuff. And
at the minute really pisses me off. And this is another reason why I started this podcast as well. Was because there's so many podcasts out there. Or it's like, I just feel like every time you open social media, someone's trying to tell you how you should live your life. And it's supposed to be a timeline. Like you see some of these people that's like, I don't go out, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't hang out with friends at the weekend.
I run 6 miles every morning at 5 a.m. Yeah.
And it's just like, so fucking what?
Exactly.
You boring fuck.
And if that works for you, then that works for you. But that's not how I want to live my life. Yeah.
But it's also like making other people feel like they should be, it's like you should these people that are like, you should sacrifice your 20s to be rich in your 40s. And it's like, no. Like if you ask any person that is like old, no offense, but old is like over 50. Okay. If you're over 50, you are old. I'm sorry. But like anyone that I know, like aunties, uncles, like friends of friends or whatever, when they're 50, they're like, do it whilst you're young.
1,000%.
Like, you have to do it whilst you're young. Because realistically, is 75-year-old Charlie going to do a bungee jump off a bridge? Probably not.
No.
But is 25-year-old Charlie going to do a bungee jump? Absolutely. But there's things you need to do when you're young. Like, you don't want to, money's fantastic, but when you die, you can't take it with you, right?
1,000%.
So you don't want to put your head down, work your ass off in your 20s, 30s. You'll look up, you're 38. You've got a load of money in your bank account, but you've got no partner. You've got no memories to look back on. Like I would say the memories that I've made in the last few years are like traveling, seeing countries, like going, doing things that once I've got a house, I've got a mortgage, I've got a family, I can't just suddenly go and do 3 months in Asia or 3 months in Australia. It doesn't work like that. You can't do it. You just can't do it.
Yeah, it's not logical. Like even my brother's, he's your age, and he got married and they bought a house and they had a kid all within like the last few years, and it's now if you want to do something, it's like, well, I need a babysitter to do this, or if you want to go do that, you got to figure out the logistics of when you're bringing your kid and with work and all those kinds of things. And that's why I've also just kind of waited. And for me too, like getting into the social media space and trying to become my own boss was also for the freedom of it, because I want to have the freedom to be able to travel and do what I want, be able to make money while you're away. And that's why we're so lucky in this day and age.
There's a lot of money made online.
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse, because before, like let's talk 20 years ago, you didn't have email on your phone or anything like that. So you go to your office job, work 9 to 5, you're home on the weekends, like you don't hear from work. Now like you can get emails all the time, and it's all from different countries and different time zones, so it can be a lot, but also like you get to do so much more and have so much more freedom.
But it's a lot harder to clock off. 100%.
It is, yeah. So it almost feels like you're never not working. Even for me, I'm here and I'm on vacation, quote unquote, but I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I get X amount of posts up, and I want to shoot this, and let's make some time for going downtown and going to this spot, and then you want to do the editing, and now you're doing the voiceovers, like all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of work. Yeah, and keeping up. And it's funny because people, again, they'll just see like the follow along on a daily vlog, and it's like you just filmed yourself throughout the day, but you're right. You got to have like a little bit of guts.
Like I put up like we both do vlogs, and they're like 1 minute vlogs on like our Instagrams and stuff. And I really enjoy making them, but I don't think people realize how long it's like. Everything I do throughout the day, I've got to have my phone out to get like a video or something. And then I go home, and once I've had my day, I've then got to like edit it all, which will take probably about an hour to get all the clips right, because you want to make sure they're not too long, they're not too short, that it works.
Proper flow,
Tell it has got to have a storyline, and then you have to do your voiceover. And for me personally, I fumble my words so much. And I said to Derek this morning, actually, I'm going to start setting up a camera for when I do my voiceovers, because I'm like, today we had ice cream, and then we went blip, blip, and I'm like, fuck, and there's like fuck in the corner. So
man, I've gotten mad. I've thrown a few things before where I'm like, you just fumble a few of the same words every time. Sometimes I'm just like, fuck it, I take a scribbler out, I write word for word. I'm like, then I'm just reading off a script.
But then it sounds.
My brain is fried. It's the end of the day. I can't just. Sometimes it's just off the top of my head, and I can just do it. I normally always
will try and do it off the top of my head, but that's because I'm one of these people where if I can talk and I can just like chuck out words.
Yeah.
But as soon as I have to put pen to paper, that's what I always struggled with at school as well. As soon as I have to put pen to paper, I get like a mind block.
Right.
So I have to like talk it. But then sometimes I find myself like, you're trying to do it in time with the video. So, and then we did this, and then we did that, and then we did this. And it's just like, you read it back afterwards, and you're like, fuck.
And then I'm like, the voiceover sounds really good, so I'll just like lengthen a few of the clips to match. And I'm like,
match. And then sometimes it's like elongated version of me eating ice cream, like. It's a lot of work that goes into it that people don't really realize.
For sure.
But I think that was my like whole thing with going back to that point of like, I feel like there's a time pressure now. I feel like everyone that you kind of, people on social media are constantly trying to tell everyone that you should be up at 5 a.m, you should do an ice bath. Like, yes, doing an ice bath does have its health benefits, but do you need to get up at 5 a.m. to do an ice bath to have a better life? No.
Right.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to do it, like Gary Vee, one of our favorite people, someone asked him and was like, do you ice bath? He was like, fuck no. Fuck no, why would I do that? Like, you can, there are so many things that you can do that are great for you.
For sure.
But I think if you live how like other people were trying to tell you to live their life, like for me personally, getting up at 5 a.m, getting in an ice bath, and then working until like the end of time and not seeing my friends and stuff for the weekend just to be successful, that to me is not successful. Now, if you're having to give up your whole life to have something in return,
right,
that's not success to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Success.
It all depends on what you're looking for, what you want out of life. It's a specific sport that you're trying to become a champion in.
Like, I feel like that's very different. Like if you're trying to become like, if you're like an athlete or like an Olympian and stuff like that, and you're giving all your life to do this because it means so much to you, I get it. But it's like when people are like, they're so focused on their main goal is to earn loads of money.
Right.
It's like, find a way to earn money but still have a life.
I agree.
Don't find a way to throw away your whole life just to earn loads of money.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's just whatever makes you happy and what fulfills you. And also, you just got to ask yourself, like, am I putting in enough? Like, can I honestly say that I'm putting in enough effort to get where I want to get? And like one of the biggest things I think is that you can't wish for more than you're willing to work for.
Yeah, no.
So if you're wishing to be a millionaire, but you're only putting in the effort of someone that makes $50,000 a year, well, you're never going to get there.
Yeah,
so maybe you have to get up and do the ice baths and do the 5 a.m. to get into that structure, to get into that mindset. But yeah, it's different for everyone. But yeah, you just gotta kind of be honest with yourself, and it's just times where I'm like crushing it as well for a few months, and I lay off the gas, and
because I just think there's like that pressure of being like, when you're 30, you should be almost like married, or you should have like a a house with a mortgage, like that kind of thing. I always feel like there's always that kind of pressure. And I think I've noticed as well, I don't want to speak on behalf of girls because God forbid, but like I do think that I've noticed from a lot of my girl mates and stuff is there is just like a massive pressure on like girls as well to feel like they have someone. Like I know a lot of girls that are single, that are around my age, that are bothered about being single. And I think there's a lot of pressure on girls as well to be kind of like, I don't know if it's within girls on girls, because I don't feel like I would ever expect a girl to be sorted and married by the time they're 30.
No, and we've gotten lucky. Like that. We've gotten lucky too that it has kind of changed. I know my parents' generation, and even before them, it was like, you met your long-term partner pretty much in high school, or through a friend of a friend early on, like in your early 20s, and you get married and you start a family. And it was very much so like, I think the narrative has been pushed for us that it's okay to do things later in life and to want to live your life. And yeah, even for me, it's like if I didn't start traveling and doing all this stuff until quite a lot later in life, like I don't even think I made it over to Europe until I was 27 on my first like big trip. So if I was to settle down and have a family and all that earlier on, I never would have really probably experienced any of that. Like it took a long time to figure it out. And obviously, as we all know, guys take a lot longer to mature than women. I think our full maturity is like,
I'm still like
30.
12. I'm like,
literally, yeah.
So like someone asked me the other day, was like, what do you want to do for a date? And I was like, go-karting or trampoline warehouse. And I was like, why did I just say that? I just gave myself
because that's what I want.
Yeah.
No, but honestly,
that's what I want to do.
We don't actually hit our full, like, I don't think men peak or actually hit full maturity until they're 30. And it's funny because I remember being 25 and I'm like, yes, yeah, you got tons of time, bro. Yeah.
Trampoline warehouse is still acceptable as a date.
I remember feeling like such an adult when I was 25, and I look back on those photos and think of my mindset and everything at that point in time, and I'm like, fuck, I wasn't even close. Like now I'm the most confident and understanding and like all that stuff that I've ever been. So when I see, especially guys in like their early 20s that have everything together and all that stuff, I'm like, wow, like good for you. That's crazy to get there, because we're still so focused on just like having fun and partying and whatever, you know?
When I was 21, that was like when I was the peak of my like traveling and partying and like, fuck, I was like going out like 3 nights a week. Like I loved it. I still like going out, but 3 nights a week would kill me.
It changes, yeah. I think we touched on this earlier too when it comes to getting older and all that kind of stuff. Even in my 30s, I'm like, wake up with a sore back or something random or a muscle. It's recovery, all that stuff. Even
I get knee pain when I like run. Fuck.
Like if I was traveling in my early, even to mid 20s, like stay in hostels, multi-room places, don't care so much, like eat whatever food, your body can digest it easier, like all that kind of stuff. Now in my 30s, I'm like, no, like even now that I'm traveling a lot, it's like I want to stay in a comfortable place. It's a little bit more expensive.
I need my
decent meals. Like, in bed last night, I got here. I'm like, yeah, we can go out, but we have to be home by midnight.
Yeah, he was like, we have to be home by midnight, and I need to be able to sit.
Yeah, like I need to sit. You're like, is it a place we can stand up and have a pint? I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah,
no
like,
standing
go to a pub. We can stand up and have a pint.
I'm like, I'm sitting down having some food. Yeah.
Oh, we went to a really mid. The restaurant we went to last night was so mid.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
No, it was like the Ivy Asia, but like from Alibaba. Like
yeah, it's a good way to describe it.
Like Ivy Asia meets from Wish.com.
Basically.
Yeah, it was like really trying hard to be like an Ivy Asia vibe. But the food was so mid. It was like tepid. Like wasn't even hot, was it? There was no like. The food was just cold, basically.
Yeah, lucky for them, we were super hungry, or else we probably would have sent a few things back. Yeah. I'm like,
I'm not going to name and shame the restaurant, but it is in Wimbledon.
Yeah. And it has been on TikTok.
I will tag them. But the food was just trash.
Yeah.
No, we're quite foodies though, me and you. Me and Derek are quite big foodies. That's the one thing we're like, when we're together, we're like such fatties.
Oh,
like
it's so
when
bad.
When I went out to, so once our TV program had launched, I went out to LA and me and Derek. So we got an apartment in Marina Del Rey, It was actually a really nice apartment, wasn't it?
It was.
Considering.
Those are the kind of times that I look back. Like, we're talking about when you get married and settle down and all these things in your life, where I look back, and at that point in time in my life, like, I didn't have a lot of money. I wasn't really settled, all that stuff. But it's like you're kind of in the weeds, and I miss those times. It's so fun. And we just went out
there, like, completely on the whim. Like, we were led to believe that our life was about to be catapulted into this completely new life.
This is true.
We had, like, PR meetings. We had interviews with, like, E! News, and I had interviews with, like, all these big fucking magazines and all these, like, big newspaper articles. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is actually really scary. Because we had to have PR meetings about, like, what to say and what not to say. Clearly, that all went over my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went out to LA on the whim, was like, because we were told that we were going to go on talk shows and all this. So I met Derek in Marina Del Rey. You come and stayed with me for, like, how long was it? 2 weeks?
It was about 2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks, yeah. And we just, neither of us had anything to do, so we just explored the whole of LA. It was so good.
Went to the gym, biked to the beach.
Beach.
Yeah.
And we made loads of content, and Derek had is it a Mustang?
Rented the convertible Mustang.
We got a convertible Mustang. We were, like, driving up and down Pacific Highway into Malibu.
Yeah.
Just like that's what we're saying. That was the time of life. Like, I will always remember that trip, because it was like the one time where I was exploring anything that I wanted to do, and I had not a care in the world.
No, that's just it. Those are the times that you can't get back when you get a little bit older and get more settled down. Those are the things where it's like, would you rather have grinded and worked so hard on your business and become a millionaire and missed out on those kinds of times, or are those things you want to be able to, like, experience?
Yeah.
So,
and then bring it back to the thing, like, us being foodies. So, like, we were just, I love my food. I love working out. But to be honest, the main reason why I go to the gym is so that I can eat more.
Dude, I like being in really good shape almost as much as, I like food that's not healthy for you almost as much as I like being in good shape and being healthy. So it's tough. It's a tough life to live. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, fuck. Yeah. Do I want abs or do I want kebabs? We just love food. But when we was in LA, we were so bad. We was like, just always, we'd be really healthy in the morning. We'd have like we had our little go-to porridge in the morning, which is like chocolate protein oats, peanut butter, honey, banana.
Slowly adding more stuff.
Half a tub of peanut butter.
Yeah, and then this morning you put mini eggs in it.
Yeah, this morning I put mini eggs in it and like half a bar of Milka.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not healthy at all. But yeah, we always just go and like hit up food spots and stuff. So I think that's how we connected, really.
Mm-hmm.
Also, him being from Canada, they're like, no offense, but to the Americans, but we love the Canadians over here.
Like to hear that.
Like the Canadians. Yeah. What's that beef between the Canadians and Americans? Why is it? Well, the Americans always like? Is it like us and the Scots? Like fucking.
I don't know. I think maybe they. I don't know if saying that they view us. Yeah, they probably do view us as like lesser. I think that's an American thing to be like. We're like the northern neighbors, but there's been people that are like from the southern states that think some Canadians live in igloos. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean? Like, yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
I can so see that.
Yeah. They're like, oh, don't they live in igloos and stuff?
In like deep Georgia or something.
Yeah. I don't know, but I've heard that in the past too.
Igloos
where like,
and shit.
Yeah. Or they just don't know, like, you think you would know more about your neighboring country.
Yeah.
Like a little bit more about it. But I guess for us too is always like growing up, everything that we got was American. Yeah. Really, like our
it does feel like
our movies, our TV, like all of that, like our entertainment, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, like some of the biggest stars in the world, like Drake and Justin Bieber and Ryan Gosling. There's a lot of Canadians. Ryan Reynolds.
They're like the only 4 people that I know though.
Yeah. No, there's a good handful of them.
Yeah, but that's to us. I mean, Canada was. I went to Canada before I really went to America. That's the first place I went. That was in the Americas.
Yeah.
And like, I got obsessed with Tim Hortons. That was my first thing. I was when I was a little fat kid, and I used to love the little fucking
Timbits.
Timbits, the donuts. I'm such a fat bastard.
Yeah.
But yeah, Canada. I love Canada. You've definitely got the better like scenery and stuff. I think, especially where you live.
Yeah, we there's a lot of really good nature, and that's why I moved all the way to the West Coast, like the Pacific Northwest, because you got everything. You got mountains, you got ocean, you got beaches.
Yeah, some of the stuff that
rainforest,
like social media, I just like, when I look at it and you're like, oh, just went for a stroll, and I'm like,
it's like 10 minutes away from my place. Yeah,
I'm like, go for a stroll here, and you get like attacked by the crazies. But it was like, you went, where do we?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not showing off East Hastings, obviously, in my content.
Yeah, no, we already do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's the scenery and stuff. Oh, and Derek, I went in to visit Derek once. This is during the thing. After we've been in LA, Derek went home. I then spent like 2 more weeks in LA. Then I flew to Canada to go meet you and stay in Vancouver. And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take on this trail walk." So we go up to Whistler, and then we go on this like. He's like, I've got this.
You were so scared of getting eaten by a bear.
God, I was terrified.
I'm like, man.
He was like so not terrified. So we're going to see a waterfall, and he's like, there's a big fucking fence that says, "Do not go past here." And Derek goes, "We're going past here." I was like, there's a big sign that says, "Don't go past here because of the bears."
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, I go down here all the time. There's no bears. And it was April. So this is when they are at their worst. This is when they're waking up.
They're waking up and they're hungry as fuck.
They're hungry. They've got carbs. They want to kill you. Like, and everyone that I know that was like in Canada was like, don't walk in the woods during April because it's the worst time.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we're going to do this 45-minute fucking traverse down this like mountain.
Down by this river.
Which is where they would be because they're catching fish. And he's like, this is so fine. It's a typical Canadian, like just not bothered by the like fucking wild. And I was shitting myself the whole way. I was literally just like every noise. I was like, fuck.
Worked out though.
It did work out. We got back alive, but you didn't have any pepper spray. You didn't have any.
Do you have this, and this? I'm like, no, but I got beef jerky in my bag.
I was like, great, you're going to smell us even more. Fuck, it was terrifying. Some of that stuff you get to do is amazing, but fuck, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, Whistler, that whole area was cool. But that was like, there's not a lot of places where you can hike down to a waterfall like that. Like, that was pretty epic for like a 40-minute hike down there.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my heart rate was through the roof that whole time walking down there.
Yeah.
Obviously, for us, we don't have anything here that can hurt us, like animal-wise. So as soon as you get to a country like that, you just... Like, if I come face to face with a bear, all I'm thinking is, can I outrun the person that I'm with?
That's it.
I can outrun you. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, fuck. If it's 100 meters, if it's 100 meters, I'll trip him up. Have him. But like, we don't have that worry here. So as soon as you're like when I went to Australia, the same thing. You're just like, everything wants to kill you.
Yeah, that's like me in the ocean and sharks and stuff. It's not for me. No. Yeah, not a fan of swimming in the ocean. Lakes are fun. I love lakes. Could be in lakes all day.
Yeah.
But ocean, and it's funny because I think they're like, how many shark attacks are there a year? Like 8? It's very low. I think something like that.
No, there's more than that.
Are you sure?
Yeah. There is more than that.
Okay, maybe it was false TikTok news because I saw it was like showing animals, and I think shark was one of the lowest. And then it was deaths. It wasn't attacks. It was deaths.
I saw a video of a guy in South Africa literally getting mauled to death by a great white shark, and I watched this video. There was one in Egypt recently. They happen all the time. People are like, oh, when I was in Australia, they fucking lied. The Australians they live life on the edge, and too on the edge for me. We was in the Great Barrier Reef. We was doing a snorkeling tour, and I'm a bit stupid. I'm like a child. I do have ADHD, and I get really distracted by things. And basically, he was like, "Don't swim off on your own." So we're all snorkeling. I just see this really colourful fish. I was like, fishy. So I was like,
that looks nice.
Yeah. So literally, like a fucking idiot, just kept following this fish. Swim. It was so absorbed by this fish, and then the weather really came in, and I looked up, and I was about 100 meters away from the rest of the group, completely on the reef, on my own. And then all of a sudden, it started to get like a bit grey and like dark because the weather was really coming in. And they were like, right, we're going to have to go back in. And because we were all so far away from the main boat, they sent out their little lifeboat. But there wasn't enough room for me on the lifeboat. So they had to go back to drop off some people to come back and get me. I was literally bobbing.
Just sitting there.
And I was terrified. I've never been so scared in my life. And the guy came over, he's like, what are you worried about, mate? There's no sharks here. Like, it's Australia. Of course there's fucking sharks, you dickhead. He was like, but everyone says that. They're like, oh, there's no sharks here. Yeah. Like in California, in Venice, when we were surfing, she was like, she said, don't worry about it. There's no great white sharks here. They're down in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like half an hour away.
Yeah, that's like down the coast.
If they swim the whole length of the thing, of course they can swim that far.
They can swim up here in 8 minutes.
Yeah. Fuck, no. Sharks are just, for me, I like the...
Yeah, it's never been it for me. But no, anyways, what I was saying is I get worried about those types of things, but this chart was basically like there's more dog attacks than, you go up and pet someone's random dog and I saw like mosquitoes and stuff too, because they carry like diseases and all that stuff. And you don't realize it 'cause a lot of it's in other countries and stuff, but they're like, yeah, there's actually so many more deaths from other
things.
very small insects
I know, but
and
that
animals,
doesn't make me feel better.
I know. I'm just like, I
Because
don't
I've been
care.
attacked by a dog, so
Yeah.
I'm like, right, well, the chances are quite high, clearly.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't know. People always try and say those things to try and make you feel better, and it doesn't make me feel any better.
No.
It's that you're more likely to be in a car accident, and I'm like, they happen every day.
Oh, 100%.
So I'm like,
yeah.
of course you're more likely, but then I'm like, that doesn't make me feel better because they happen every day. I'm like, there's still a high chance I could get hit by a
1,000%.
shark.
Even the weather in Calgary was quite bad on the way coming over here, so there was like some pretty decent turbulence. And when you're in an airplane, and it's just like, and it just sounds like it's banging when the wind hits you.
It's so scary.
And in my mind, I was just like, chances are higher you're going to be in a car accident. It's still safe. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're like telling yourself this
I've
stuff.
been in a car accident yet, so that means I must be fine.
But then I'm like, what if it just fucking drops out of the sky? That's fucked.
Well, I watched an interesting theory on it. It's like because of the pressure of coming up. There's this girl called Anna Paul on TikTok.
Okay.
Shout out to Anna Paul. I love her. I was showing you her yesterday. She's an Australian girl.
Oh,
that
yeah,
does
yeah.
like all their vlogs, and she did like showed you how like it works with an airplane. She basically put like a marble in a jelly. And you know how like jelly's dense? Apparently that's what an airplane is like in the sky. Apparently there's so much pressure coming down from gravity, but there's also so much pressure coming from underneath, from the altitude that it sits at, that it actually, when it's moving, it's like it's stuck in like a jelly. Like it feels like to you it could drop out the sky, but the chances of it dropping out the sky are like it's just not going to happen.
Never thought of it that way.
Because they don't ever just drop out the sky. Like all of a sudden they have to like glide down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, apparently it's actually, when you get turbulence and stuff like that, it makes you think it's a lot worse than it actually is, but apparently it's not that bad.
Right.
But I have been in a plane where they've had to turn the engines off in the plane. He was like, the turbulence was really bad. We're in an air pocket. We've got to drop out the air pocket. The only way to drop out the air pocket was to turn the engines off. And the plane literally went, and my stomach went, and that's when I was like, fuck, get me off this plane.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's terrifying. That's one of my sharks, turbulence. I don't mind turbulence, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Depends how much gin and tonic I've had on the plane.
And bears.
Yeah, bears are terrifying.
Yeah.
Because they will kill you. They will just kill you.
Oh, yeah. They don't care.
It's not for me.
It's not like a stuffed animal.
No, it's not like a stuffed animal. No, and I think that's what people get. When you see a bear, like when Whistler and stuff, I've been like, oh, it's so cute, because you're led to believe in kids' films that they're this cute little animal. They're actually just a giant vicious rat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That will fuck you up.
They will fuck you up.
All kind, like even moose and that kind of stuff. Like
I didn't realize how big they were.
They're huge,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
They're like big. They're like monster truck size.
Yeah, like if you're driving even a regular sized truck and a moose comes out on the highway and you go to hit it, you're only gonna hit its legs. Its body is like above the height of a car. Like they're fucking big. Yeah.
Have you ever seen one?
Yeah. I have, but not like the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like the massive ones. But yeah, they'll crush.
They will crush anything. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You've got all those kind of fucking scary shit up there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool nature for sure.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's but you get shitty weather and stuff like us, like here though as well, right? So it's like
it's pretty well in Vancouver, Pacific Northwest. It's all rainforest, right? I mean, well, now it's all apartment buildings, but there's still some rainforest.
There was a
left.
rainforest there at one point.
So yeah, we get a lot of rain, but it's also, I mean, I view it as like the California of Canada, being on the West Coast and like even to Vancouver Island. It's still, in my opinion, the best weather. You don't get like there's other places, Alberta, and other provinces and cities that get a lot more sunshine, but it's fucking minus 30.
Yeah.
I'm like, the sun is shining and that's great, but it's minus 30 and you can't open your car door.
Is Alberta quite north?
What's that?
Is Alberta quite north then?
Well, no, the provinces are right beside each other, but it's more central. Well, not central. It's still in the west, but like it's further north, Edmonton, than Vancouver, but it's kind of like right in the middle of Alberta. But just Alberta. It's just, I mean, the whole country obviously is more north, right, than U.S. and all these other places. So it's colder in general. But in those places, it's like you get really hot summers, but you also get really cold winters. And I used to work in that stuff. And it's
you got the seals, and you get the great white sharks.
What's that?
You get great white sharks on your coast, though, don't you?
I think sharks are very rare because of the temperatures of the water. We have lots of whales. Like orcas. I think that, I don't know if I
brought insane footage.
I brought you to White Cliff Park where were you there that day?
No.
No. Yeah.
There's got this insane footage where he sent his drone out into the bay.
Yeah.
And you've got these like pod of orcas.
There's like 6 of them, like 2 babies. Yeah, it was crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, and that's only like a few miles off the coast right there.
The only thing that we've got on the coast is fucking vicious seagulls that would take your chips out your hand. If you go to the seaside by us, that's literally what you're gonna get.
Steal your food and shit on you.
Seagulls, little pricks.
Yeah, but there's cool. There's lots of. We went. I don't know. I get confused between like seals and otters and what's the other one? There's a few different ones. But remember that little fat guy we went down there and you were taking videos with him?
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff? Yeah. 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 They just lay with their bellies hanging out on the beach. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I would probably move there somewhere that I could definitely live.
Yeah. I mean, well, because you know from the weather that it's similar to here, right?
Yeah.
But I think the summers are a little bit hotter where I am.
The summers are definitely better, but also because you've got the coast for it. We don't have that coast for it.
Yeah, and then you're close. I mean, you like California and LA. It's only a couple hour flight, and there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are. I mean, I feel like you got to kind of West Coast or East Coast. What are you?
Yeah. I'm definitely more of a West Coast.
Yeah.
Get my Erewhon.
Yes.
Get my fucking Erewhon chips. Fucking expensive place on earth.
Yeah.
But now that you've kind of you're settled, do you think Vancouver's home? Like, do you have any intention? Well, no, I was gonna say, do you have any intention of going to any other TV shows or like more reality stuff? But you're in a relationship now, so the dating shows are off
the dating shows are off the table. So no Love Is Blind I mean, I'm too shallow for Love Is Blind. I got to see what you look like. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, personality is definitely everything to a point.
Yeah.
But I'm at a good place in life now. It's nice to finally be settled down and more so. I mean, it's not like we're living together that far settled down, but not have to worry about being on the fucking dating apps and swiping and getting ghosted or me ghosting someone, or you know how dating is these days. It's just fickle. It's fucked. And I don't know. It's weird. It feels almost so much like men and women are in a competition and they're out to get each other, and we're always looking to like point out each other's faults instead of like finding our commonalities and be like, yeah, can we get together for this reason or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. I think
we have that here. This is a very big culture thing here. I think we have that kind of we call it like banter, but it's actually you're just absolutely rinsing each other all the time.
Right.
It can get a bit like draining after a while, can't it?
Yeah, it's tough, and it also too, just I guess the roles have been changing so much. Like it's not the traditional pink and blue and male and female, and there's been so much change with, you know, femininity and masculinity, and you know, what is a woman, what is a guy, how do we act, what is attractive to each other, changed, and it's just it's been such like a crazy time. Even when I was in high school, it was so much easier. There wasn't really any social media. I know texting was just becoming a thing, and it was still like, it's Monday. I'll pick you up on Thursday at 8. And now I'm like, if you don't contact her, like within a few days, they're like, oh, is he gonna ghost me? Are we still going on this date and everything? And it's like, I said I'll be there Friday. Like I'll show up. But it's so like everyone's so stressed and worried. You need to have, like, it's like a validation thing.
I'm also like that as well, where I'm very chilled as in I don't need to be texting someone all the time, but then sometimes you do, like, because that's how we're led to believe how it works now. Like if you text someone and then you don't hear back for 4 or 5 hours, you're like, what the fuck could they be doing?
Or like wonder
who is more important.
Dude, do you remember when Instagram showed you what your followers were doing?
No.
Oh man, yeah, there was a section under your followers, like it was under your likes. It was like a kind of explore page thing, but you could see like whoever you followed, there was another page, and it would say, like Charlie liked this person's photo. Charlie commented on this person's photo.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it was like Snapchat best friends. You'd be like hanging out with a girl, and you could see like her top 3 best friends, and one of them might be some other dude. You're like, who the fuck is that? Why are you snapping him all the time? Yeah. It was just like a recipe for disaster. It's the same thing for Instagram, and they're like, so and so followed this person. It's like they followed a hot guy, they commented on their post, and like, so why are you doing this? You know, it was such a awful way to make people more insecure, to just be like, what the fuck is going on? It was bad. So, but I'm happy to be settled down, and even travel and stuff. It's fun, like traveling by myself and do the solo thing, but this is my first trip right now with my girlfriend, so it's going to be really fun.
I'm really excited to watch how this trip goes.
To see how everything unfolds. It's a big test, you know, the first trip, see what happens. Might have our first fight, who knows? You
can document it next time.
Exactly.
Well, it's been absolutely amazing, like having you in. We could literally just chat here for ages, couldn't we? We're going to chew everyone's ear off. But thanks for coming in. Thanks for everyone for listening. As I said, this is episode 8. Much love. Appreciate all the love, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.